Dear students, welcome back to another video lecture on the course Signals and Systems with course code 18EC45. In the previous video lecture, we did solve some problems on continuous time Fourier series. We understood how to obtain the Fourier series coefficients of the time domain signal and understood the nature of its spectrum. We got to know how to draw the magnitude spectrum and phase spectrum. In today's lecture, we'll be discussing properties of Fourier series. These properties are same as that like the properties of Z transform and discrete time Fourier transform. The definition and meaning of these properties are same, but here we'll be redoing them with respect to Fourier series, particularly continuous time Fourier series. So the first property we'll be studying is linearity. The statement for linearity property is if x of t and y of t are the continuous time periodic signals and their respective Fourier series are given as x of k and y of k. Then if we form a composite signal by adding x of t and y of t, then its spectrum or the Fourier series coefficients will also be added together. So the statement is ax of t plus by of t. Its spectrum will be ax of k plus by of k. Here both signals x of t and y of t are assumed to have same fundamental period, capital T equals to 2 pi divided by omega naught. Now to prove this property, we'll start with the analysis equation of the continuous time Fourier series defined as z of k equals to 1 divided by t integration 0 to t z of t e to the power minus j k omega naught t dt. In place of z of t, we'll be substituting the composite signal ax of t plus by of t, and we'll divide the integration between both the signals. So we can rewrite it as a times 1 divided by t integration 0 to t x of t e to the power minus j k omega naught t dt plus b times 1 divided by t integration 0 to t y of t e to the power minus j k omega naught t dt. If you observe both these integrals, they are of the standard continuous time Fourier series form. So we can represent them as x of k and y of k, which are the spectrums or the Fourier series coefficients of the signal x of t and y of t respectively. So the total spectrum due to linearity property will be ax of k plus by of k. So this spectrum is following homogeneity as well as superposition. And the second property we'll be going through is called as time shifting, or sometimes it is also referred to as translation. The statement for time shifting property is if x of t and x of k are Fourier series pair, then if we shift the time domain signal x of t to t naught units, which is represented by x of t minus t naught, then its Fourier series coefficients will be multiplied by a complex exponential of frequency omega naught into t naught, where t naught corresponds to the time shift. To prove this, again we'll start with the analysis equation. Z of k equals to 1 divided by t integration 0 to t z of t, the exponential integration with respect to time. In place of z of t, we'll substitute the time shifted signal x of t minus t naught. And if we put t minus t naught equals to lambda, then t will be equals to t naught plus lambda. We'll substitute these results in the above integral. So it will be rewritten as 1 divided by t integration 0 to capital T x of lambda e to the power minus j k omega naught of t naught plus lambda. Integration will be with respect to lambda now. If you decompose the exponential, one of the exponential will be e to the power minus j k omega naught t naught, which will be independent of this integral, so it can be taken out, and the remaining integral will be written as it is. If you observe, the remaining integral is the standard definition of continuous time Fourier series. So for the time shifted continuous time periodic signal, its spectrum or the Fourier series coefficients x of k will be multiplied by a complex sinusoidal signal with frequency k omega naught t naught. E to the power minus j k omega naught t naught x of k will be the spectrum. The third property we'll be going through is frequency shift. And the statement for frequency shift property is, if x of t and x of k are Fourier series coefficients pair, and if we shift the Fourier series coefficients on the frequency scale at k naught units, represented by capital X of k minus k naught, which represents the frequency shift, Fourier series coefficient shifted to k naught, then its time domain signal x of t will be multiplied by a complex sinusoidal of frequency k naught into omega naught. So time domain signal x of t will be multiplied by e to the power j k naught omega naught into t. We'll start with analysis equation and substitute e to the power j k naught omega naught into t x of t in place of z of t. Both the exponential inside the integral can be combined, so it can be written as 1 divided by t integration 0 to capital T x of t e to the power minus j k minus k naught omega naught into t dt. This integral is nothing but the standard continuous time Fourier series, but for the frequency k minus k naught times omega naught. So it can be represented as x of k minus k naught. Or in other sense, if the time domain signal is multiplied by a sinusoidal signal of frequency k naught omega naught, then the Fourier series coefficients of the signal x of t will be shifted by k naught, which will be the frequency of the signal being multiplied in the time domain. The next property we'll be studying is scaling. Scaling property in continuous time Fourier series is important. We have few things to understand and few restriction on the periodicity of the signal. And the statement is, if x of t is a continuous time periodic signal and x of k are the Fourier series coefficients of x of t, and if we scale the continuous time signal by a, represented by x of a times t, then its Fourier series coefficients will be x of k itself, and the scaling factor we'll be considering is positive for a greater than 0. The Fourier series coefficients of the signal x of t, the original signal x of t, and the Fourier series coefficients of the time scaled signal will be same. Then what will be the difference? We'll go through that. But before that, if x of t is periodic signal, then its time scaled version z of t equals to x of at will also be periodic. But the fundamental period of the time scaled signal will be different. If x of t has the fundamental period of capital T, and if we scale that signal by a units, then the fundamental period of the time scaled signal x of at will be capital T divided by a, where capital T is the fundamental period of the original signal and a is the units by which it is scaled. So the fundamental period of the time scaled signal will be capital T divided by a. Now the effect of this fundamental period on the fundamental frequency for the time scaled signal will be, If the frequency, fundamental frequency of the original signal x of t is omega naught, then the fundamental frequency of the time scaled signal x of at will be a times omega naught. Fundamental period will be capital T divided by a, and fundamental frequency will be a times omega naught for the time scaled signal. To prove the time scaling property, we'll start with the analysis equation. X of k equals to 1 divided by t integration 0 to t x of t e to the power minus j k omega naught t dt. Here we'll use or we'll substitute the time scaled signal z of t as x of at and appropriately change the fundamental period as well as fundamental frequency. So it will be 1 divided by t divided by a, or you can rewrite it as a divided by t integration 0 to the upper limit will be capital T divided by a, because the fundamental period of the signal has been changed. X of at e to the power minus j k a omega naught into t dt. The frequency, fundamental frequency, will also be changed to a into omega naught. If in the exponential, if we use lambda in place of a into t, and if we take its derivative, dt can be written as 1 divided by a into d lambda. If we use these results in the above integral, then we can rewrite it as z of k equals to a divided by capital T integration from 0 to capital T divided by a x of lambda e to the power minus j k omega naught lambda. In place of dt, we'll be using 1 divided by a d lambda. A in the numerator and denominator will cancel, and rest of the integration is the standard continuous time Fourier series definition, which can be represented as capital X of k. Now the difference between these Fourier series coefficients of time scaled signal and the original Fourier series coefficients of the original signal lies in the harmonic spacing. Harmonic spacing is nothing but the distance between two successive Fourier series coefficients. The distance between two successive Fourier series coefficients for the original signal x of t will be omega naught. But after time scaling the signal and taking the Fourier series coefficients, the distance between two successive Fourier series coefficients will be a times omega naught. Remember, a times omega naught is the fundamental frequency. So rest all are to be its integer multiples, the harmonics. So the harmonic spacing for the Fourier series coefficients of the time scaled signal will be a times omega naught. So Fourier series coefficient values will remain same, only the harmonic spacing will change after time scaling. The next property we'll be going through is time differentiation. And the statement for time differentiation is, if x of t and x of k are the Fourier series pair, and if we take the first derivative of the time domain signal represented by dx of t divided by dt, then its Fourier series coefficients x of k will be multiplied by an imaginary term j k into omega naught. To prove this, we'll start with the synthesis equation given by x of t equals to summation k minus infinity to plus infinity x of k e to the power j k omega naught into t. We'll take the first derivative of this synthesis equation. So dx of t divided by dt will be equals to summation, and x of k will remain same, and the exponential will be differentiated, which will give us jk omega naught e to the power jk omega naught into t. And if you look at this summation, it is the Fourier series coefficients x of k are, and the imaginary term j k omega naught is the single term. So we can rewrite it as the first derivative of the signal x of t's Fourier series coefficients will be x of k but multiplied by j k omega naught. The next property we'll be going through is time domain convolution. Just like all the other properties, convolution property we studied for Z transform and discrete time Fourier transform, the definition is same here. If we have two continuous time periodic signals x of t and y of t and their respective Fourier series coefficients given by x of k and y of k, and if we perform convolution on the time domain signals x of t convolved with y of t, then its effect in the frequency domain, the Fourier series coefficients will be multiplied, x of k multiplied by y of k, where x of k is the Fourier series coefficients of x of t and y of k are the Fourier series coefficients of y of t. The spectrums or the Fourier series coefficients will be multiplied and scaled by the fundamental period capital T, where capital T represents 2 pi divided by omega naught. And the important point to remember is all three time domain signals x of t, y of t and the convolution between these two represented by z of t will be having the same fundamental period capital T, which will be 2 pi divided by omega naught. To prove the time domain convolution property, we'll start with the analysis equation. Z of k equals to 1 divided by t integration 0 to t z of t e to the power minus j k omega naught t dt. In place of z of t, we'll substitute the convolution, and because these are time domain signals, in place of convolution between x of t and y of t, we'll use the convolution integral defined by integration 0 to capital T x of L y of t minus L dl. After substituting the convolution integral, and we'll interchange the order of both the integrations. So we can rewrite it as 1 divided by capital T integration from 0 to t x of L integration from 0 to t y of t minus L e to the power minus j k omega naught t integration with respect to time and the variable L. In the second integral, we'll substitute t minus L as m, and if we take the derivative, dt will be equals to dm. We'll use these results in the second integral. So we can rewrite it as 1 divided by capital T. The first integral with respect to x of L will be as it is. The second integral, integration 0 to t y of m e to the power minus j k omega naught m plus L dm dl. We'll decompose the exponential inside the second integral and rearrange the terms. 1 divided by t integration 0 to t x of L e to the power minus j k omega naught L dl. The second integral will be integration 0 to t y of m e to the power minus j k omega naught m dm. Both the integrals are the multiples. X of k, the first integral, is the definition of the signal, Fourier series definition of the signal x of L, and the second integral is the Fourier series definition of the signal y of m. But the standard definition will be having 1 by t, so these spectrums will be t times x of k and t times y of k. One of the t in the numerator and denominator will cancel, so the total spectrum Fourier series coefficients will be the product x of k y of k multiplied by capital T. So convolution, time domain convolution, again reduces the convolution operation in the time domain to simple multiplication operation in the frequency domain. The next property we'll be studying is modulation, or sometimes it is also referred to as multiplication theorem. And the statement is, if x of t and y of t are continuous time periodic signals and their respective Fourier series coefficients are given by x of k and y of k, and this time if we multiply two time domain signals if we take the product of x of t and y of t, then Fourier series coefficients will be convolved together. X of k will be convolved with y of k. So multiplication in the time domain is converted to convolution in the frequency domain. To prove this, we'll start with the analysis equation again, and in place of z of t, we'll substitute the product x of t multiplied by y of t. And we know that from the synthesis equation, x of t can be represented as summation L minus infinity to plus infinity x of L e to the power j L omega naught into t. We'll use this result in the above integral. Then we'll interchange the order of summation and integration. When we interchange the order of summation and integration, the integral can be written as integration 0 to t y of t. Both the exponentials will be combined, e to the power minus j k minus L times omega naught t dt. The second, or the integral on the right hand side, represents the Fourier series coefficients itself, but at the frequency k minus L. So it will be represented by y times k minus L, but it will be multiplied by t. So t in the numerator and denominator will cancel. So we'll remain with summation L minus infinity to plus infinity x of L y of k minus L. So this is nothing but convolution summation. Convolution summation between the Fourier series coefficients x of k and the Fourier series coefficients y of k. So multiplication in the time domain results into convolution of their respective Fourier series coefficients. And the last property we'll be studying for the day is Parseval's theorem. Now, because these signals are periodic in nature, in Parseval's theorem, we'll try to equate the powers of these signals, average powers of the time domain signal x of t, and what will be the content of each frequency signal, power content of each frequency signal in the superposition represented by x of k Fourier series coefficients. So the statement for Parseval's theorem is, let x of t be a power signal with Fourier series coefficients x of k. Then the average power in the waveform or in the signal will be given by, average power will be represented by capital P, which will be equals to 1 divided by capital T integration from 0 to t modulus square of x of t dt. This is the power for the continuous time signal, which will be equals to summation k equals to minus infinity to plus infinity modulus square of the Fourier series coefficients x of k. So the power, average power of continuous time signal should be equal to average power of the Fourier series coefficients for that signal. Now till this point we have been assuming x of t, the time domain signal, continuous time periodic signal x of t, to be real function only, real function of time. But as a general case, it might not be true always. So for general case, we'll assume x of t to be a complex valued signal. So modulus square of x of t will be given as product between the signal and its conjugate x of t multiplied by x star of t, where x star of t represents the conjugate of the signal x of t. So the average power definition in the time domain, P equals to 1 divided by t integration 0 to t modulus square of x of t dt. In place of modulus square of x of t, will substitute the product of the signal and its conjugate. And again, from the synthesis equation, we know x of t will be equals to summation k minus infinity to plus infinity x of k e to the power jk omega naught t. If we take conjugate of this synthesis equation, we can rewrite it as x star of t equals to summation k minus infinity to plus infinity x star of k, and because of the conjugate, the exponential will have negative sign now, so it will be e to the power minus jk omega naught into t, and we'll use this definition in the above integral. After substituting it, we'll interchange the order of integration and summation. So summation k minus infinity to plus infinity x star of k will be outside, and the integration 0 to t x of t e to the power minus jk omega naught t dt, and this is the definition of Fourier series, but with the multiplication of capital T. T in the numerator and denominator will cancel, so it will be summation k minus infinity to plus infinity x star of y multiplied by x of k. So it is like multiplying the Fourier series coefficients with its conjugate terms, which can be represented as modulus square of x of k. So the average power of the Fourier series coefficients capital P will be equals to summation k minus infinity to plus infinity modulus square of x of k. Now these modulus square of x of k, if we plot them versus k, again this plot will be a line spectrum, but this time it will give us the power in the waveform with respect to frequency terms, which will be also known as power density spectrum of the signal. Now power density spectrum is nothing but it gives us the what is the power contributed by each frequency signal in the sinusoid to form the frequency domain signal. We'll be solving some problems to understand some of these properties in the next video lecture. I hope all of you followed the properties that we have been going through in this video lecture. If you have any doubts, you can contact me. Thank you all.